Hey everybody, it's the Heretic. So I'm going to talk about a couple things that I'm getting sick and tired of hearing about from a few idiots online and on the news and in our Congress and Senate and our presidency. That our economy is bouncing back. That we're way ahead of where the experts thought we would be, and unemployment is at an all-time low or record low, and then they want to try and sit back and say, well, Trump had record high unemployment. All right, let's talk about that. See, what they're doing is they're trying to take Trump's final year of his the final year of Trump's presidency, all right, when COVID hit, okay, when Democrats in particular were all about lockdowns, extended lockdowns, and then they wanted to increase the benefits, both duration and sum allotted to people that were drawing unemployment. Then on top of that, they wanted to hand out these COVID relief checks. All right. So what happened? Well, they used it. They weaponized it. I hate to tell you this, but your beloved Democrat overlords financially ruined as many people as they could, financially devastated the economy as much as they could, bankrupted as many people as they could. And there's a reason for that. You see, financial crisis, a detrimental, a weakened economy is detrimental to the incumbent party. Okay, the incumbent president, for example. So what they did was they forced unnecessary lockdowns, which was devastating to the economy. Then they facilitated people piling in on unemployment, which drove the unemployment rate way up. Because that's actually what they're looking at, is how many people are drawing unemployment. All right. Just because someone says the unemployment rate is down doesn't mean it's down. It just means that the unemployment benefits have expired, or people are no longer drawing unemployment. And the presumption tends to be that, oh, well, because they're working. Not in this case. So they advocated all of this, and then they stalled the relief efforts, as Pelosi said, because we had the wrong president. Okay. So they drove the economy down. Alan Lichtman presented three very distinct and manipulable characteristics that costed Trump the presidency. Prior to the arrival of COVID and its effect on the economy, Donald Trump was a shoo-in to win re-election according to the only 100% accurate algorithm that predicts presidential elections. That is that of Alan Lichtman. He stated that unless some crisis arose that were either mishandled or perceived as having been mishandled, Donald Trump would be re-elected. All right? And then unless the impeachment was successful. That if the impeachment failed, sorry guys, it's been a long day. If the impeachment failed, then Donald Trump would be a shoo-in to be reelected unless some crisis arose that was mishandled or perceived as having been mishandled. Okay. Then coincidentally, as soon as the impeachment was set to fail, along came COVID. What a strangely timed coincidence. Long story short, Democrats, and in many cases Republicans, supported some of these measures in the name of safety and all this stuff. But anyway, they facilitated the driving up of unemployment and the driving of lockdowns and all of these other economically devastating features. And then they wanted them extended. The interesting thing is the extension made a minimum duration of available unemployment 39 weeks. So you could draw, in other words, when this began, people would be able to draw unemployment for the duration of Donald Trump's presidency, assuming he lost the election. Okay. Now, why did they do this? Well, there were three factors, okay, according to Alan Lichtman, that were going to cost Trump the presidency, that were manipulable, could be influenced, and would be the difference between the election. Two of them were economic in nature. The third was civil unrest. Civil unrest, that thing that our own vice president even, stringently advocated they won't stop and they shouldn't stop. They kept pushing it, okay? What happened was, at the end of all that, 26 red states opted out of further extensions, of further unemployment benefits, extensions, the bonuses for people working unemployment. In other words, $600, $300, $100. They kept wanting to add stuff to it to facilitate people remaining on unemployment. Okay. And then they ended lockdowns in a lot of places, and they've refused to kick them back up. And they've kicked it around, but they know that it's detrimental to the incumbent party, so they're not going to do it. It's just like political unrest. You guys start raising Cain like you were in the summer of 2020, they'll shut you down. They shut you down because they know how detrimental it is to their party. You've served your purpose. They're done with you. They don't need you now. Okay? So what's happened is you've had 26 Republican states end their unemployment extensions. Most people didn't go back to work. I think in some places it was like 55% or something like that. It was a lot. Or only 50, either like 55 hasn't returned or 55 has returned, something to that effect. Anyway. But long story short, the drop-off from unemployment is what they're showing you. Yeah. It's basically the equivalent. The Biden administration boasting of their creating jobs is basically the equivalent of a car salesman going around talking about how, they've created the need for cars, man. People are needing cars like crazy. Yeah, but you're also the group that went around setting them all on fire and beating the windows out of them, slashing the tires. You helped facilitate this problem. You helped cause this. You encouraged it. You nurtured it. And now that some states have just said, that's it, no more, you're trying to disingenuously represent the dynamic so as to propagate the notion that you are bringing the economy back, and you're not. You're not. Inflation is skyrocketing. Shelves are empty. People aren't going back to work. And I have my theories as to why. But they're just my theories, and they're pretty thin in the sense of substantiation. I might be right, but I can't walk you through it and say, oh, here's this fact and this fact and this fact and this is, it's based in fact, but not a concrete conclusion. In other words, that's not the only explanation for why they're not going back to work. Guys, this party, this presidency, is a train wreck. And what's worse, what's even more terrifying, is that they are just basically walking out in front of a podium and telling you that, oh, everything is great, when it's not great. Drive up and down the road. Hiring. $15 to work at a Wendy's. Are you kidding me? I mean, and what's worse is you guys think that this drives things, that this puts everybody on a level playing field. It doesn't. People just raise the prices. It's kind of like the cocaine cowboys in Miami in the 80s. The price of living in Miami freaking skyrocketed because of all the drug money. Okay, adding more money does not drive prices down or keep them where they are. It doesn't raise the quality of living. It simply raises the prices around you. Everything goes up. They compensate, and the beat goes on. You don't get to take the worst of somebody's situation that you presented. You made this problem, and then try to catch the upswing when people are. I mean, for God's sakes, that is such a clear spin job. I don't know how many of you are falling for it. It is such a clear and absolute spin job. And they know this. They even tried to bring this into doubt during Trump's presidency. They'd say, oh, well, his unemployment is low, but here's why that doesn't tell the full story. You see, what it could just mean is that people's unemployment benefits have expired. So they're aware of this, just like they're aware of all these other dynamics that I've pointed out. They know these things. Alan Lichtman, he's not some obscure name to them. They've had him on CNN, MSNBC. They know who this person is, and they're very aware of how effective his algorithm is. As for the economic crisis, guys, Salon freaking magazine wrote an article about Trump. As you might have guessed, some of their authors are painfully liberal and painfully Democrat-oriented. And they even wrote articles that were trying to chastise Trump because he wouldn't lock down, because he knew how devastating to the incumbent party financial crisis was. Salon magazine wrote that. Salon freaking magazine. Which was not the case. Trump understood that the cure can't be worse than the disease, and he understood how unnecessary these things were. It didn't matter. It wasn't doing anything. It wasn't effective. People were ignoring it. I mean, there's no reason to do it. Unless you're trying to crash the economy because you need to get Trump out of office. And the one guy who has 100% accuracy record says this is the only way to do it. Says that unless these things are out here, unless the economy unless there's an economic crisis and civil unrest, you're not going to oust this guy. He will win. This is just one of half a dozen examples of the frankly terrifying lengths Democrats were prepared to go to and are still clearly prepared to go to with their obvious manipulation of the truth to retain or otherwise acquire power. Anyway, sorry this one was so choppy, guys. It's been a long day. You have a good one.